They were the dominant predators until human wiped them. All the stars stretched endlessly across the void, each one a pinprick of light in the darkness. The human ship Endeavor moved silently among them, its hull glinting faintly in the distant starlight. Captain Ryan Hale stood on the observation deck, staring at the endless black with a mixture of awe and caution. He had seen many worlds, many civilizations, but none like the one they were approaching. The sensors had picked up strange signals, patterns that did not belong to any known species. But the readings were too precise, too deliberate. Something powerful, something dangerous waited out there. Below, the crew moved with quiet efficiency. Lieutenant Maya Cross adjusted the navigation charts, her fingers tracing the projected paths of several nearby systems. She glanced at Ryan and gave a slight nod. "Captain," she said, "we're entering the outer perimeter of Critian space. All readings suggest no immediate threats, but sensors are showing high-energy activity on multiple planets." Ryan leaned back, his gaze still fixed on the stars. "Critians," he murmured. The name alone carried weight. The Critians were not just another alien species. They were hunters, apex predators of the galaxy, feared by all who had encountered them. Planets had fallen under their rule, civilizations wiped out as trophies for their hunts. Every report the humans had collected painted a picture of creatures that were fast, strong, and terrifyingly intelligent when it came to combat. They were the predators of the universe, and the humans, at least on the surface, seemed like nothing more than small, fragile prey. "Sir, we're picking up movement," Maya said, her voice tense. "Ships, multiple Critian patrols are approaching." Ryan turned, his jaw tight. "How close?" "Too close to ignore," Maya replied. "They're moving fast, but they haven't detected us yet." A silence fell over the observation deck. The crew waited, the quiet only broken by the hum of the ship's systems. Every officer understood the stakes. If the Critians discovered them too soon, it could be the end of the Endeavor. Yet Ryan felt a strange calm. Humans had survived countless challenges before, and though the odds were grim, he believed in their ingenuity. "They think we're weak," he said finally. "That's their mistake." The Critian ships appeared on the sensors, sleek and lethal, their hulls dark and reflective. They moved with precision, scanning every corner of the void for signs of life. Ryan watched as the patrols split, searching systematically for anything unusual. The humans were tiny dots in the vastness of space, barely noticeable. And yet they were already planning their moves. "Prepare for stealth protocol," Ryan ordered. "Engage cloaking and maintain all energy readings at minimal output. Let them come to us if they want." Maya nodded, issuing the orders. Slowly, the Endeavor seemed to fade into the darkness, its energy signature minimized until it became almost invisible on the sensors. The Critian patrols passed by, sweeping the area with deadly precision, but none noticed the hidden human ship. For the first time, Ryan allowed himself a small smile. Humans had survived countless predators on their home planet. It seemed the universe had not yet met the full measure of human cunning. Hours passed, and the patrols moved on. The crew exhaled collectively, tension easing but never fully leaving. Ryan moved down to the control room, where the rest of the officers were analyzing the readings. "We need more information," he said. "If we're going to survive out here, we need to understand them completely. Their technology, their tactics, their weaknesses, everything." Lieutenant Cross tapped a few keys on her console. "I've been cross-referencing their patrol patterns with previous reports. They're predictable in certain ways. They rely on brute force and instinctive hunting patterns. But there are gaps, moments when they overextend or miscalculate. That's where we can strike." Ryan nodded. "Good. Gather everything we have. Every report, every image, every record. I want the full picture. And get the drones ready. We'll need eyes everywhere." As the humans worked, the Critians continued their hunts on nearby planets. From orbit, Ryan watched abandoned cities, entire civilizations stripped bare. The Critians did not simply conquer, they dominated. Their methods were efficient, terrifyingly so, but the humans did not flinch. Every planet, every ruined civilization was data. Every mistake the Critians made was an opportunity. Days passed. The humans moved quietly, studying, observing, never revealing themselves. They learned the Critian communication signals, the way they coordinated hunts, and even the patterns in which they celebrated their victories. And slowly, an idea began to take shape. Humans were small and fragile, yes, but they had something the Critians did not: adaptability, creativity, ingenuity. Captain, Maya said one evening, leaning over a data console. I think I've found something, a flaw in their hunting protocol. They rely too heavily on instinct. They assume superiority. If we can exploit that even slightly, we can level the playing field. Ryan's eyes lit up. Show me. Maya projected a holographic map of several Critian hunting zones. See these patterns. They always split into smaller hunting groups, believing their numbers guarantee success. If we manipulate their expectations, we can set traps, force them into corners, and turn their strength against them. Ryan studied the map carefully. It's risky. One mistake and we're finished, but it's possible. Humans have always found ways to survive when others thought they couldn't. This could be our first real advantage. The crew worked through the night, developing strategies, planning stealth missions, and preparing the drones for reconnaissance. Every member knew the danger, yet every member also understood the opportunity. The Critians were proud, confident, and deadly, but they were also predictable in their arrogance. Several human drones launched, small and almost invisible, slipping past patrols and recording data on Critian movements. Ryan watched the feeds carefully, noting every detail. It was a game of patience, but humans had patience. They waited for the perfect moment, the moment when even a single human could change the outcome of a fight that seemed hopeless. One evening, as the ship drifted silently near the edge of a Critian system, alarms blared. The sensors had picked up a small Critian scouting vessel heading straight toward them. Ryan's heart rate quickened, but he did not panic. Prepare for evasive maneuvers, he ordered, and activate the decoy drones. Let's see if they can be fooled. The small Critian ship approached, scanning meticulously. The drones flickered, creating false energy signatures and heat traces, drawing the alien vessel off course. Ryan and his crew held their breath as the Critians followed the false signals, never noticing the humans observing from shadows. Slowly, the alien ship drifted away, completely deceived. A cheer rose from the control room, small but heartfelt. It was the first small victory. It was proof that humans could survive in a galaxy that had been dominated by predators for centuries. Ryan allowed himself a moment of satisfaction, though he knew this was only the beginning. Captain, Maya said, breaking the brief silence, we've collected enough data to make our first move. We can start targeting their supply lines, their patrols. Small strikes, carefully calculated, nothing too aggressive. But it will send a message. Ryan nodded. Good. But remember, we cannot let pride get in the way. The Critians are patient. They will make mistakes, but they are deadly when cornered. We move carefully, strike smart, and above all, survive. As the Endeavor continued its silent patrol, Ryan looked out at the stars once more. Somewhere out there, the apex predators of the galaxy hunted with confidence, believing nothing could challenge them. But humans had a different plan. They had intelligence, patience, and cunning. And slowly, quietly, they were beginning to prepare for a game that the Critians would never see coming. The crew of the Endeavor did not cheer again that night. They worked in quiet focus, preparing for the battles ahead. And somewhere in the darkness of space, the Critians moved, unaware that their next hunt might be the first they had ever lost. Ryan smiled faintly, a mix of determination and anticipation. Humans were small, fragile, and underestimated. But that underestimation would be their greatest advantage. The galaxy had a new player now, one the Critians would soon regret ignoring. The Endeavor drifted silently at the edge of Critian space, its hull nearly invisible against the blackness of the void. Captain Ryan Hale watched the starfield, his mind mapping out every move, every possible reaction the Critians might have. The first encounter had been close, but it had proven one thing. Humans could survive in a galaxy ruled by creatures that had never known fear. Now, it was time to take the next step. Lieutenant Maya Cross was at her console, fingers moving quickly over the holographic display. She studied the patrol routes, supply lines, and orbital stations with careful precision. Captain, she said, her voice steady but charged with energy, I've charted the supply routes. There's a pattern to their logistics that we can exploit. Small convoys travel between planets at regular intervals. They are heavily armed but predictable. Ryan nodded, leaning closer to the map. How many ships are we talking about? 2 to 4 per convoy, usually, Maya replied. They follow the same path every time. If we set up a trap, we can take them out without revealing our full fleet. Ryan allowed a small smile to cross his face. Good, prepare the drones. We'll strike, but only where it counts. We don't want a full battle yet. We want them to underestimate us even more. The crew worked in quiet focus. Engineers prepared the drones, small and nearly invisible ships equipped with high-precision disruptors and stealth technology. The weapons were not meant to destroy everything at once. They were surgical, designed to sow confusion and fear. For the Critians who had never known defeat, even small failures could shatter their confidence. Hours passed. The convoy appeared on the sensors, a gleaming line of black and gray ships gliding through the void. Ryan held his breath as Maya guided the drones into position. Every human heart aboard the Endeavor was racing, though their expressions betrayed nothing. "Now," Ryan said, and the drones surged forward like silent hunters. The first ship in the convoy vanished in a sudden cascade of electromagnetic pulses, its engines cut off. The Critians, confident in their dominance, reacted slowly at first, scanning for the source of the disruption. Then, as the second ship in the convoy faltered and began drifting, panic rippled through the remaining vessels. Humans, unseen and perfectly coordinated, struck again, forcing the Critians to retreat in confusion. In the control room, the crew allowed themselves a brief exhale of relief. Maya's fingers danced across the console, monitoring the convoy's retreat. "They're disorganized," she said. "They didn't expect precision attacks. It's working." Ryan's eyes were calm but intense. "Good, but remember, this is just the start. We take what we can, learn from it, and improve. The Critians are dangerous when cornered. We need to stay 3 steps ahead at all times." The Endeavor followed the retreating Critians at a distance, monitoring their attempts to regroup. Slowly, patterns began to emerge. The Critians were fast, strong, and deadly, but they were also predictable in their overconfidence. They assumed that nothing could challenge them, and humans were beginning to exploit that flaw. Days passed, and the humans continued their campaign. Small strikes, carefully calculated, took a toll on the Critians' confidence. Supply lines were disrupted, patrols were confused, and communication networks were riddled with false signals. Every victory, no matter how small, taught the humans more about their enemy. One evening, as Ryan walked through the quiet corridors of the ship, he felt a sense of anticipation that he had not felt in years. Humans had always faced long odds, and every time, ingenuity had carried them through. The Critians, with all their strength, were facing a foe that they had never encountered, a species that could think, adapt, and plan beyond instinct. "Maya," he said, entering the control room, "what's the latest on the patrols?" She turned, eyes bright with focus. "They're becoming cautious. They've slowed their patrols, doubled the number of ships in convoys. They're trying to predict us, but they don't understand human strategy. We are unpredictable to them." Ryan nodded. "Good, we'll use that. Let's escalate carefully." Time for a bigger test. The next mission was riskier. Humans would strike not at supply lines alone, but at a small Critian orbital station that controlled communications for an entire sector. It was heavily defended, but Ryan believed in his team. Preparation and precision were their weapons, and humans had learned to use both better than any predator they had ever faced. The Endeavor approached the orbital station in complete silence. The crew checked their positions, their drones poised like shadows. Maya's fingers flew over the console, monitoring every sensor and energy reading. "We are in position," she said. "The station's defenses are active but not fully synchronized. We have a small window to act." Ryan gave the order, "Deploy the drones." The drones moved like swarms of silent hunters, weaving past defensive turrets and scanning systems. They emitted pulses that disabled shields temporarily, creating gaps that the humans could exploit. The station's alarms blared, red lights flashing across the deck, but the humans were already inside the system, controlling its communication network remotely. "Shut down the primary link," Ryan ordered. "We don't want reinforcements until it's too late." Seconds later, the link went dark, and the station was cut off from the surrounding fleets. The Critians, confident in their control, were suddenly blind and disoriented. Panic began to ripple through their ranks. Humans, still unseen, pressed their advantage, striking with precision that no Critian could anticipate. Maya smiled faintly. "They don't know what hit them," Ryan nodded, "and they never will, not until it's too late." The mission was a success. The station's communication systems were disabled, and the Critians' ability to coordinate was significantly weakened. The humans had struck a blow not just to their logistics, but to their confidence. The apex predators of the galaxy were starting to feel doubt for the first time. Back on the Endeavor, the crew allowed themselves a moment of celebration. It was quiet, restrained, but the energy in the room was palpable. Humans had survived, adapted, and now they were taking the fight to a species that had never known defeat. Ryan stood on the observation deck once more, looking at the stars with a mixture of pride and calculation. "Every move we make now matters," he said quietly. "The Critians will try to regroup, but we will be ready. They may be predators, but humans are clever. Humans survive, and humans strike when the time is right." As night fell across the ship, the crew continued their preparations. Every drone was repaired and reprogrammed, every strategy reviewed and improved. Humans were patient, and patience was their greatest weapon. They did not need to rush. The Critians had assumed they were invincible. Humans would prove them wrong, one small strike at a time. Weeks passed, and the humans' campaign continued. The Critians, for the first time, experienced confusion and fear. Their hunters were being hunted, their supply lines disrupted, their strategies anticipated. And through it all, humans remained calm, precise, and relentless. Every victory built confidence, every mistake taught a lesson, and every observation revealed a new opportunity. One evening, as Ryan reviewed the latest reports, Meyer approached him with a look of excitement. "Captain, I think I've found the key, a pattern in their behavior. When they feel pressure, they overreact. When they overreact, they make mistakes. If we can manipulate that, we can control them." Ryan studied her carefully. "Go on." "Small provocations," she explained. "We create pressure in specific areas. Force them to respond in predictable ways. Then we exploit their mistakes. It's not brute force, it's strategy. We can turn their own instincts against them." Ryan smiled. "Exactly what I like to hear. Humans don't just survive. Humans adapt. Humans learn, and humans win." The crew spent the next few days implementing the plan. Drones created controlled disruptions, minor skirmishes were staged, and the Critians responded exactly as predicted. They fell into traps, misjudged distances, and overextended their fleets. Every human strike was calculated, every move precise. For the first time in centuries, the apex predators of the galaxy were beginning to understand fear. They did not know it yet, but the humans had already won the first stage of the war. The galaxy had shifted, imperceptibly at first, but irreversibly. Ryan stood on the observation deck again, watching the stars. "They thought they were untouchable," he said softly. "They thought nothing could challenge them. They are learning now, too late. Humans are not just survivors. Humans are hunters too." And far away, the Critians moved through the void, confident in their dominance, unaware that the creatures they considered fragile were already plotting the downfall of their empire. The Endeavor drifted quietly, its crew working tirelessly, preparing for the battles that would soon decide the fate of an entire galaxy. Humans had begun their campaign, small and precise, but unstoppable in their determination. The apex predators would learn the hard way that intelligence, patience, and courage were more dangerous than raw strength. The stars stretched like a river of diamonds across the endless black. The Endeavor glided silently among them, a small but determined presence in the heart of Critian space. Captain Ryan Hale stood on the observation deck, watching the faint glimmers of alien patrols far below. Humans had learned much since arriving here: patience, strategy, and the subtle art of manipulating a predator. But now it was time to escalate. The small strikes had worked. They had sown confusion, disrupted supply lines, and shaken the Critians' confidence. But true victory required more than clever tactics. It required daring, intelligence, and unshakable courage. Lieutenant Maya Cross was at her console, her eyes scanning the data feeds with rapid precision. "Captain," she said, "we've tracked their fleet movements. They're trying to regroup, reinforce their defenses, but their reaction patterns are predictable. They still underestimate us. They think they've contained the threat." Ryan nodded slowly. "Good, that's exactly what we need. They believe we are small, fragile, and incapable. Let's prove them wrong." The plan was risky. Humans would strike directly at a Critian fleet that patrolled the outer systems, one of the largest the aliens had deployed since the humans' arrival. It was heavily armed, fast, and deadly. But humans had an advantage no Critian could anticipate: strategy. Using the information gathered from countless observations, they would exploit the Critians' reliance on instinct, overconfidence, and rigid hunting patterns. "Deploy the drones," Ryan ordered. "I want full reconnaissance. Every ship, every turret, every weak point mapped. The small human drones slipped past the patrol like shadows, weaving through the dark between the stars. Cameras and sensors captured every detail: formation patterns, weapon ranges, reaction times. The crew studied every frame, noting where the Critians assumed safety and where human ingenuity could turn their strength against them. Hours later, the attack plan was ready. The humans would divide the fleet into small, fast-moving groups, striking the Critians from multiple angles. Disruptive pulses would disable shields, forcing the aliens to respond in confusion. And hidden in the darkness, the humans would strike at the most critical targets: command ships, supply transports, and energy hubs. Ryan gave the order. Prepare for engagement. Remember speed, precision, and patience. We strike only when the moment is perfect. The Endeavor and its fleet moved into position. Humans were smaller, slower in numbers, and outgunned, but they had learned how to use the void itself as a weapon. Stars became cover, black space became a shield, and every maneuver was calculated to exploit the Critians' predictable instincts. The first contact was sudden. Critian ships, confident in their strength, attempted to intercept a small human scouting group. Drones surged forward, releasing electromagnetic pulses that cut off engine power in the closest Critian vessels. They drifted helplessly for a moment, their weapons useless, as human ships darted through the gaps. "Now!" Ryan shouted, and the humans struck with precision. Targeted shots disabled shields and engines, forcing the Critians to scatter in panic. The aliens reacted instinctively, splitting their fleet into smaller groups, exactly as the humans had predicted. Each split made them more vulnerable, and every human pilot knew the angles, the weaknesses, and the traps laid by their own clever minds. The battle was fierce but controlled. Humans moved like shadows, striking and retreating, avoiding unnecessary losses while forcing the Critians to commit errors. One command ship, larger than any human vessel, faltered under concentrated attacks. Drones overloaded its systems, disabling communication with the rest of the fleet. Panic spread through the Critians as orders failed to reach their intended targets. Lieutenant Cross guided the attack from the control room. "Captain, they're overextending." "The left wing is vulnerable," she reported, eyes glued to the holographic display. Ryan's fingers flew over the controls, coordinating attacks. "Target the command ship and the engines. Keep them disoriented. We strike fast and retreat faster." One by one, Critian ships were neutralized or forced to retreat. For the first time, the apex predators of the galaxy experienced something unfamiliar: fear. Their instincts, honed over millennia, could not account for this level of intelligence, planning, and coordination. The humans, small and underestimated, had turned the hunters into hunted. Hours later, the battle ended. Humans had inflicted significant damage with minimal losses. The surviving Critians fled in disarray, their confidence shattered. The galaxy had shifted subtly but irreversibly. The Critians had always believed they were invincible, and now they were beginning to understand that intelligence, strategy, and adaptability could surpass sheer strength. Back aboard the Endeavor, the crew allowed themselves a brief moment of quiet celebration. Every officer understood the significance of this victory. Humans had not just survived, they had struck fear into the heart of a species that had never known it. Ryan walked to the observation deck, watching the stars that had witnessed the battle. "They thought they were untouchable," he said softly. "They thought nothing could challenge them. They were wrong. Humanity is clever, patient, and relentless. They underestimated us, and they are paying for it." Maya joined him, leaning against the railing. "Captain, we've proven something important, not just to them, but to ourselves. Humans can fight even the most dangerous predators in the galaxy." "We're learning, adapting, and winning," Ryan nodded. "And this is only the beginning. The Critians are powerful, yes, but they are predictable in their arrogance. Every mistake they make is a lesson for us. Every misstep can be turned into an advantage." The next days were spent consolidating gains. Humans repaired damaged ships, gathered intelligence from captured Critian technology, and planned their next moves. Every encounter provided insight into Critian tactics. Every engagement revealed weaknesses previously unnoticed. Humans were patient hunters, learning faster than their prey ever could. Then came the intelligence that changed everything. Maya tapped the console urgently. "Captain, we've intercepted a communication. The Critians are calling a council on their homeworld. They're worried." They're discussing the human threat. They've never done this before. Ryan's eyes narrowed. They've never considered humans a threat. Now they do. That means they're nervous. We strike next when they least expect it. We don't just fight, we change the rules. The humans began planning a daring operation, a coordinated strike at the Critian homeworld's defenses. It was risky, nearly suicidal in the eyes of anyone who did not understand the humans' capabilities. But Ryan had faith. Humans thrived when others doubted them. They had survived predators, hostile environments, and impossible odds for centuries. And now they were ready to challenge the apex hunters themselves. Weeks of preparation followed. The Endeavor and its fleet moved silently through the void, positioning themselves just beyond detection range. Drones surveyed the Critian defenses, mapping every turret, every patrol route, and every energy conduit. Every move was calculated, every possibility considered. Humans were not just attacking, they were orchestrating a symphony of strategy. On the night of the operation, Ryan addressed the crew. "This is the moment we've prepared for. The Critians are confident, arrogant, and dangerous, but they are not invincible. Remember everything we've learned. Stick to the plan, move fast, strike hard, and retreat before they can react. Intelligence and precision are our weapons, and humans never give up." The attack began in silence. Drones disabled shields and communication arrays, creating chaos in the Critian defense network. Human ships darted through gaps, striking key installations with pinpoint accuracy. Critian vessels attempted to respond, but the humans anticipated every move. Every counterattack was turned against them, every weakness exploited. By the time the Critians realized the extent of the assault, it was too late. Their homeworld's defenses were crippled, their fleets scattered, and their confidence shattered. For the first time in millennia, the apex predators of the galaxy faced defeat at the hands of a smaller, weaker species. Back on the Endeavor, the crew allowed themselves a rare moment of satisfaction. The humans had not only survived, they had struck fear into the heart of the Critians. They had proven that intelligence, adaptability, and courage could overcome even the most formidable predator. Ryan looked out at the stars once more, a quiet determination in his eyes. They thought they were untouchable, they were wrong, and this is only the beginning. Humanity has more to learn, more to prepare, and more to prove. But one thing is certain, we are no longer the prey, we are hunters too. And far away, the Critians regrouped, shaken and uncertain. They had never faced an enemy like this, an opponent that could think, adapt, and strike with precision. They had never faced humans. The Endeavor drifted through the blackness of Critian space, its small hull gleaming faintly under distant starlight. Captain Ryan Hale stood on the observation deck, eyes fixed on the distant glow of a Critian system. Every detail had been studied, every patrol route mapped, and every weakness noted. Humans had survived against the apex predators, had disrupted their fleets and supply lines, and now they were ready for a decisive strike. The time had come to prove that humans were no longer prey, they were hunters. Lieutenant Maya Cross moved across the deck with her usual efficiency, scanning multiple consoles at once. "Captain," she said, "we've tracked the Critian fleet consolidating near their central command station. They're trying to regroup, but they're panicked. Their communication networks are compromised and morale is low. This is our chance." Ryan's jaw tightened. "Good. Prepare the fleet. We attack on 3 fronts. Drones to disable shields and communications. Fast strike teams to hit key ships. Heavy fire on command vessels, precision and speed. Nothing wasted, nothing random. We end this now." The crew moved quickly, every officer executing their tasks with calm focus. The humans had learned patience, strategy, and timing. Every moment counted, and mistakes could be deadly, but the humans had studied their enemy for weeks. They knew what the Critians would do, often before the aliens themselves knew. Hours later, the humans reached striking distance. The Critian fleet was vast, larger than any the humans had faced before, but overconfidence had always been the Predator's greatest flaw. Ryan knew that brute strength alone would not protect the Critians from a well-coordinated assault. Intelligence, speed, and careful strategy were weapons humans wielded better than any species in the galaxy. "Drones deployed," Maya announced, her fingers flying across the console. Small, almost invisible ships surged forward, slipping past detection and releasing electromagnetic pulses that cut off shields and disrupted communications. The Critians, confident in their dominance, were suddenly blind and disoriented. "Engage the strike teams," Ryan ordered. Human ships darted forward, striking at command vessels and supply ships. Laser fire and pulses struck with precision, disabling critical systems. Critian ships attempted to respond, but confusion and disrupted communication left them vulnerable. One command vessel faltered, its weapons offline, engines sputtering. The humans pressed the advantage without hesitation. The Critians tried to regroup, but every move was anticipated. Humans exploited every opening, turning the predators' instincts against them. Smaller Critian ships were lured into traps, chasing decoy signals only to find themselves trapped in energy nets or forced into collisions. The apex hunters, once confident in their superiority, now fought a losing battle. Maya monitored the battlefield with intense focus. "Captain, their left flank is collapsing. The command ship is isolated. We can force a complete retreat if we push now." Ryan's voice was calm, firm. "Do it, no mercy but precision. We strike to disable, not to destroy everything. The goal is to prove humanity's strength, not recklessness." The humans executed perfectly. The Critian left flank disintegrated under coordinated attacks, ships either fleeing or disabled. The command ship, now fully isolated, faced the Endeavor's strike teams head-on. Humans struck from multiple angles, disabling weapons and engines with pinpoint accuracy. For the first time, the apex predators knew fear. Their instincts, honed over millennia, failed them in the face of strategy and intelligence. On the Endeavor, Ryan allowed himself a brief moment of satisfaction, though he never let pride interfere with focus. "They thought themselves untouchable," he said softly. "They are learning too late that humans are clever, patient, and relentless. They underestimated us, and that mistake will cost them everything." Maya nodded, her eyes bright with determination. "Captain, this is working. We've broken their formation. If we press, we can scatter their entire fleet and cripple their command structure." "They won't recover from this quickly." Ryan gave the final order. "Full assault. Every ship, every drone, every system. Strike now and strike smart. Humanity is the predator today, not the prey." The fleet surged forward, executing maneuvers with perfect coordination. Every Critian ship caught in the humans' assault was either disabled or forced to retreat. Communication failures spread through the alien ranks, causing panic and misjudgments. Command vessels were crippled, supply lines cut, and morale shattered. The apex predators of the galaxy were fighting a battle they could not win, not because they were weak, but because humans had mastered strategy and adaptation. In the control room, cheers rose quietly, restrained by focus. Humans had learned the rhythm of the predators, movements, the patterns in their attacks, and the points where intelligence outweighed brute force. Every officer on the Endeavor knew the significance of the moment. This was not just a battle one. It was proof that humans could dominate where others had never been challenged. Hours passed, and the battle reached its climax. The Critians attempted one final coordinated strike, concentrating on the Endeavor. Ryan anticipated the move. "Divert power to shields and decoys. Prepare countermeasures." The humans executed flawlessly. Every attack was neutralized before it could reach its target. Drones created false energy signatures, drawing Critian fire away. Strike teams disabled weapons and engines at critical moments. The command vessel, the heart of the Critian fleet, was finally forced to retreat, leaving the remaining ships scattered and vulnerable. When the dust settled, the humans had achieved what no one thought possible. The Critian fleet was crippled, their command structure fractured, and their confidence shattered. For the first time in millennia, the apex predators had tasted defeat. On the observation deck, Ryan looked out at the distant stars, his expression calm but intense. "They thought they could hunt without challenge. They thought humans were weak and fragile. They were wrong. Humans are clever, resourceful, and unstoppable when we work together." "This is just the beginning." Maya joined him, her expression reflecting pride and determination. "Captain, they won't underestimate us again, and they'll remember this for a long time. Humanity has proven itself." Ryan nodded. "Yes, and will continue to prove it. Every planet, every fleet, every system. Humans will survive. Humans will adapt. Humans will win. The galaxy will know our strength, not our size, but our intelligence, our courage, and our unity." The crew spent the following days consolidating their victory. Damaged ships were repaired, drones recalibrated, and captured Critian technology studied for weaknesses and enhancements. Humans had learned not just to survive, but to dominate. They were no longer the hunted, they were the hunters. Across Critian space, survivors of the fleet limped home, spreading tales of humans who struck with precision, cunning, and unpredictability. Fear and uncertainty took root among the apex predators, the first signs that the galaxy's balance of power was shifting. They had never faced a species like humans before, a species that could anticipate their every move and turn their instincts into weaknesses. In the quiet moments aboard the Endeavor, Ryan and Maya reviewed reports, maps, and strategies. Captain, Maya said, "We've done more than just win a battle. We've sent a message. Humans are not to be underestimated. The Critians will rethink everything they know about hunting and dominance." Ryan smiled faintly. "Exactly. The galaxy will remember this. The apex predators are learning a new truth. Humans are not prey. Humans are clever, patient, and unstoppable when necessary. And this is only the beginning." The stars stretched endlessly, silent witnesses to humanity's rise. For centuries, the Critians had dominated the galaxy, hunting all in their path. Now, the hunters had become the hunted in a new way. The humans had struck decisively, proving that intelligence, strategy, and courage could overcome raw strength and centuries of experience. And in the vastness of space, the humans prepared for what came next. The apex predators would recover, regroup, and strike again, but the humans were ready. They had proven their dominance, and the galaxy would never see them the same way again. Ryan stood quietly on the observation deck, gazing at distant stars. They were the predators, but humans will be remembered as the hunters who changed everything. We survive, we adapt, and we strike when the moment is right. Humanity is unstoppable. And far away, the Critians fled, disorganized and unsure. The apex predators had learned something new, that even the most feared creatures in the galaxy could be challenged, defeated, and outsmarted. Humans had proven that intelligence and courage could triumph over brute strength. The galaxy was quiet, but the quiet was not peace. It was the calm after a storm, a pause in which the echoes of humans' victories against the Critians reverberated through countless star systems. Captain Ryan Hale stood on the observation deck of the Endeavor, gazing out at the stars. The Critians had retreated, their fleets shattered, their confidence broken, and their empire fractured. For the first time, the galaxy's apex predators understood what it meant to face a species they could not dominate. Lieutenant Maya Cross joined him, her eyes scanning the starfield. "Captain, the reports are coming in from every system we liberated. Former Critian-controlled planets are sending messages of gratitude. Civilizations thought lost are alive again, rebuilding under our protection." Ryan nodded. "Good. Humans did not just win battles, we saved worlds. We proved that size and strength are not the only measures of power. Intelligence, courage, and teamwork matter more." The Critians had once ruled the galaxy with fear. Entire civilizations had been wiped out, their histories erased. Humans had come quietly, studied them, and struck with patience and precision. Now, the remnants of the Critian Empire were scattered, and their former subjects looked to the humans as saviors. Ryan moved to the command console, reviewing intelligence reports from across the galaxy. Former Critian warlords had retreated to distant systems, but their communications suggested fear and caution. They were learning the hard truth. Humans were not to be underestimated. Every fleet, every patrol, and every settlement would now consider humans as a force capable of challenging the galaxy's most fearsome predators. Maya tapped the console. "Captain, the human fleet is being hailed across liberated systems. Many leaders want to form alliances, share technology, and work together for defense. We have an opportunity to reshape the galaxy, not just survive in it." Ryan allowed himself a small smile. "Exactly. Humans have always survived by working together, adapting, and thinking ahead. Now, we can extend that beyond a single ship or fleet. We can ensure that the galaxy never forgets what humanity is capable of." The humans began organizing the liberated worlds. Former Critian colonies were rebuilt, trade routes restored, and defense networks established. Humans shared knowledge, technology, and strategies with planets that had once feared them. The Critians, once apex predators, were now cautious, their arrogance replaced by uncertainty. Humanity had set a new standard. On one of the rebuilt worlds, Ryan and Maya visited the Planetary Council. Leaders of various civilizations, once terrified of Critian rule, greeted them with respect and hope. "Captain Hale, Lieutenant Cross," one counselor said, "you have given us a chance to live." Humanity has proven that courage and intelligence can defeat even the strongest oppressors. Ryan bowed slightly, humility in his stance but pride in his eyes. "We did not act alone. Every human, every ally, and every life willing to resist tyranny contributed. This galaxy is vast, and no species should believe itself untouchable. Today, humans have shown what we can achieve when we work together." Maya added, "The Critians may return one day, but the galaxy will not be unprepared. Humans have proven the value of intelligence, patience, and strategy. Those who once feared the Critians now understand the strength of unity." Back on the Endeavor, the crew reviewed the technological spoils of their campaigns. Critian ships, weapons, and communication systems were studied and adapted. Humans had learned not just to survive, but to improve their own technology, creating ships faster, stronger, and smarter than ever before. Every victory became a lesson, every challenge an opportunity to grow. Ryan looked over the fleet reports. Humans now patrolled the former Critian space, protecting worlds that had once been prey. They were not conquerors, but guardians. Intelligence and foresight had replaced brute force as the measure of power. The galaxy was changing, and humans were shaping that change. Weeks later, a meeting of former Critian leaders was intercepted. They debated their failures, their mistakes, and the humans' unprecedented tactics. One warlord said, "These humans, they think differently. They anticipate, adapt, and survive. Our strength alone cannot match them." Ryan reviewed the message and allowed himself a rare smile. "Exactly," he murmured. "Humans survive not by size or aggression, but by thinking, learning, and acting together. That is our greatest weapon, and the galaxy has finally witnessed it." As the humans rebuilt and organized, the Critians slowly retreated further into the outer reaches of the galaxy, nursing their losses and reconsidering their role. Humans had turned the tables completely, not through raw force, but through careful planning, patience, and ingenuity. Every world that once feared them now looked to humanity as a model of resilience and intelligence. On the Endeavor, Ryan and Maya prepared for a new mission. "Captain," Maya said, "we've secured these systems, but there's more to explore. Humans have the chance to establish a lasting presence, to ensure that the lessons we've learned reach every corner of the galaxy." Ryan nodded. "Yes." The Critians were the apex predators for centuries, but humanity has proven something important. We survive, we adapt, and we thrive. Now we ensure that no species, predator or otherwise, underestimates the human spirit. The crew set course for the next system, the stars stretching endlessly before them. Every light represented a world that could be protected, a civilization that could be saved, and a challenge that could be met with courage and intelligence. Humans had begun to leave a permanent mark on the galaxy, not as conquerors, but as defenders and leaders. On the observation deck, Ryan looked out at the infinite blackness. "The Critians thought they were the strongest," he said quietly. "They were wrong. Humans are clever, adaptable, and brave, and the galaxy will remember that long after this battle is over." Maya stood beside him, her expression resolute. "We've shown them that strength is not just about power, it's about strategy, patience, and unity. Humans have won more than battles. They've changed the way the galaxy sees life itself." As the fleet moved through the stars, signals of gratitude, alliance, and hope reached the humans from every direction. Formerly oppressed civilizations now looked to humanity for guidance, not out of fear, but out of respect and trust. The Critians were no longer predators. They were merely remnants of a bygone era, reminders that even the strongest could be challenged by intelligence and courage. The Endeavor continued its patrols, humans building defenses, training fleets, and sharing knowledge. The galaxy had witnessed an extraordinary transformation. A species once considered fragile had risen to a place of respect and dominance, not through violence alone, but through intellect, patience, and unity. Ryan spoke to the crew during a quiet meeting on the ship. "We have done more than win battles. We have shown that humans are capable of surviving anything, adapting to every challenge, and achieving greatness. Remember this. Humans will always find a way. Our strength is in our minds, our courage, and our will to act when others falter." Maya added, "And we will continue. The galaxy is vast, but humans are patient. We will protect those who cannot defend themselves. We will learn from every encounter." and we will never let arrogance or fear go unchallenged again. In the months that followed, humanity's influence spread. Former Critian worlds rebuilt under human guidance, trade and communication networks expanded, and alliances formed across systems. Humans were no longer simply survivors. They were leaders, protectors, and symbols of hope. The Critians, observing from the shadows of distant systems, slowly realized the scale of their defeat. Their pride had been broken, their fleets destroyed, and their influence shattered. For the first time in millennia, they feared humans, not because humans were stronger, but because they were smarter, faster to adapt, and unyielding in determination. On the Endeavor, Ryan and Maya stood together, looking out at the galaxy they had helped protect and transform. "The apex predators underestimated us," Ryan said, "and that was their greatest mistake." Maya smiled faintly. "They will not make that mistake again. Humanity has proven itself, and the galaxy now knows our strength. Not in weapons, not in size, but in our intelligence, courage, and unity. That is what makes humans unstoppable." Ryan nodded. "Yes, we survived, we adapted, and now we lead. The galaxy will never forget humanity. We are hunters, defenders, and survivors. And this is only the beginning of our legacy." The Endeavor and its fleet moved forward through the endless black, stars stretching infinitely in every direction. Each light represented a world to protect, a civilization to guide, and a challenge to overcome. Humans had risen, not by overpowering others, but by proving that intelligence, courage, and unity could conquer even the most fearsome predators. And far across the galaxy, civilizations whispered the same truth. Humanity had changed everything. The Critians, once untouchable, had learned that the universe held a new kind of apex predator, one that hunted not with claws and teeth, but with minds, courage, and a determination that no force could ever break.